Style for Life. I'm Stephanie Rumble, fashion stylist, accountability coach, and your guide to feeling good in your body and your clothes. Based in Christchurch, New Zealand, I bring over 3 decades of experience in fashion, fitness, and wellness to help you feel strong, stylish, and self-assured. Together we'll explore the emotional, physical, and practical sides of style, because true confidence starts from within. No matter your age or size, you deserve to feel confident and show up as the best version of you. I truly believe this. This is Style for Life. Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited to be here this morning with a very special guest, which is Alinor Rose, who I have met some years ago, and we have reconnected again this year, and here we are on the podcast. So I don't think that I've interviewed anyone like you before, so this is a really special opportunity for me. So again, thank you so much for agreeing to come along this morning. So first of all, maybe if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing right now. How does that sound?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the lovely introduction. It was so nice reconnecting. So, I'm Eleanor. I met Stephanie many years ago, like you said, when I was at a teen parent unit. I had my daughter when I was very young, so I had left high school and I'd had her as a teenager, and then I decided that I wanted to go back to high school and get an education, which is where we met. And now I'm working full time as a scientist. So I'm 30 now. I have a career that I'm really proud of and has benefited myself and my family very much.
Such a 60s story, Ali. Like literally
Thank
such
you.
a 60s story. So for those of you who don't know, maybe just tell us a little bit about what a teen parent unit is, Ali, because some people won't know what that is.
I'd never heard of one before having Veronica. So, and I think that they're amazing. I owe so much to the Teen Parent Unit. So what it is, there's a few of them scattered around the country. It's like a special school that you can enroll in and go to if you are a teenager and you have a baby. So my one, Te Tero Whakamoa, was attached to the back of Heretaunga College in Upper Hutt. So I'm from Wellington originally. And basically there's a creche on site that you can enroll your babies into daycare. And then the teen parent unit itself can enroll you in the correspondence school, and they run classes on site. So it's quite small. There were about 30 girls there when I was there. You can do classes that are at your level, NCEA level 1, 2, or 3, or I was very fortunate because I was reasonably academically focused. I wanted to go to university, so they were able to actually send me to classes at Heretaunga College. So I was basically treated just like any other high school student and was able to get university entrance and NCEA level 3 over a year, while my daughter was literally within walking distance at a creche where I could go and visit her. I could still breastfeed her. I could still interact with her. And the other thing about the teen parent unit is they have like special courses that they run for the parents to either help them, learn content specific to being a parent. They have kind of structures to help support you in learning how to be a really connected parent. So they do music and movement with the babies. It's necessary that you spend an hour over at the creche every day bonding with your child. Screen free, they enforce the screen free thing, so you're really actually getting that quality time with your baby. And they also ran other courses that might help you to further your life, which is where you and I met. So the one that I remember was like how to dress for success, or how the way that you present yourself might impact your prospects moving forward in life.
Awesome. I mean, I visited, so just for the context, thank you for that, Eleanor, is also, so I visited a lot of teen parent units probably about 10 years ago around the country and did these courses. So I had a program called Style in Schools, and Eleanor was someone I met there. And it was so amazing this year when she came to another one of my leadership courses to connect with you again. Like that was just, for me, it's like completion. It felt like such a privilege to see you in the position you're in now. So just if we go back a little bit, do you mind sharing how old you were when you had your baby and how the process of getting back into education went for you?
Sure. Yeah, so I was 18 when I had her. I had like dropped out the year before and I'd moved away from home, and like when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh man, like I don't have any prospects basically, so I really need to get my life sorted. And I'd never heard of a teen parent unit before, but my mum was the one who suggested to me. She'd had a friend who had gone through it and they'd said really amazing things about it. And I was really skeptical at first. I was like, I had the same sort of, it's embarrassing to say it, but you know, the preconceived ideas about what a teen mum is that everyone else had. And I was like, oh, I don't know about going to a school full of teen mums, which is so ironic because I was one myself. Um, but I guess like because my mum just like she asked me, please, please just like give it a go, you know, just go see what it's like. And when I went, I just went for a visit and I was really nervous, but everyone was super friendly and they had a really lovely setup there. And so it was reasonably scary and I think I didn't really have too many expectations of myself at the time, but I think I'm a reasonably stubborn person as well. So I was like, this is an option. And, you know, looking at the other options of my life at the time, I guess I'd known a couple of people from high school who had had kids. And that, like, again, they were lovely people, but I just didn't like the look of what life was going to become if I didn't do something for myself and for my family, especially because I'm not from a super affluent area of the country. And I just thought, like, I don't want to be like on a benefit and I don't want to be just like working a countdown forever. So, yeah, I enrolled and I just set my views on getting into university. I'd always really loved science, and before this, I'd kind of been like, oh, I'd love to be a doctor one day.
Great.
um,
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think what I really have heard that you had inside of you is you always had that drive to want to do better, but you obviously had
yeah,
the little roadblock, very great roadblock of Veronica
yeah,
time. And so, you know, the teen parent unit helped to pull you up again and make you feel like you could actually get you know, move forward in your life. So you spent, how long
totally.
did you spend in the teen parent unit before you enrolled in university? And what was the process there? What happened there?
Sure. Yeah, I would say you're completely right about everything you just said. Um, yeah, the teen parent unit, it basically just like cleared the way for me. Because obviously when you have a child, oh, like you have all these ideas about how it's going to be, and then it's so different, the actual experience of it. So they basically just made it like the easiest path you could possibly get into like how to even just be in a routine day to day of like going to work. But they're so forgiving. Like every time you fail, they just kind of are there to be like, it's okay. Like we know what it's like. And they just pick you up again and then just put you back on the same direction. So like I genuinely have just the fondest memories of everyone there. And it takes a real special kind of person to be a teacher there, I think. So I was there for a year and a half. I enrolled while I was still pregnant with Veronica, which was when I was 18. And that just kind of got me into the routine of like still going to school every day. I enrolled in correspondence school that day. It was about halfway through the year, and I was due to have my baby at the end of the year. So she was born in August, and we get 6 weeks between having our babies and having to go back to school, which was really, really tough. I still think out of all the things I've done, university and postgrad included, like going back to school 6 weeks after your baby is born is like a really, really difficult thing. So I didn't find that adjustment easy. And when we first went back, like, I mean, they make it as easy as they can. So they put a bassinet next to your desk, and you're encouraged to keep breastfeeding if you're capable of or would like to. And they have all the facilities for a baby there, and they have a daycare right next door. So if you know, I think a lot of new mums know what it feels like to feel very attached to your baby. If having them nearby would help put them in daycare, they keep the daycare center really close, and you can go visit them whenever. But yeah, I think that time frame was really hard. So I did have her with me in class until she was about 10 weeks old, and then I like slowly transitioned her, and that transition time kind of took to the end of that school year. So she was about 6 months old when I went back to school full time, enrolled in the normal college that I could walk to next door. And then that year, so we'd done 6 months already. The next year was the year that I sat NCEA level three. So I kind of had one shot at it. I was 19 the year that I was in Heratonga College. And it was awesome. It was actually so great. It was a great balance of both worlds where I got to be a parent with Veronica. I got to go back for lunch breaks every day and spend the whole hour with her at daycare. I still breastfed her. All the things that were really important to me of still feeling like really involved with my baby. Uh, but I could kind of feel like a normal teenager. I was 1 year older than the other kids that I was in class with, but I never felt any different. Like they were all lovely, and occasionally I'd even bring Veronica over for a class with me because they wanted to see her. And the teachers were like, the teachers at Hiratonga College were awesome about it. So yeah, we just walked across the school field and joined in our classes. There was one other girl at the school who did that with me as well. And I just sat internals and externals the same way that any other kid would. And I managed to pass them all and get into university.
Oh, it's such a good story. And it sounds like the whole combination of having the team parent unit next to Hiratonga College was worked really well for you because you could integrate in it. Like you said, you had the best of both worlds. I kind of wish that we all had that as parents.
Yeah.
Having that support makes a huge difference to your ability to be able to succeed. I can really hear that in your conversation. So,
I yeah, I think it was really key to my success because I think I there was a few things that I wouldn't have compromised on as a mother
yes.
with how I felt safe and how I felt connected to my child. And I think if I hadn't had her so close, I probably would have been like, okay, this isn't the time for me. And I think like it was all those little ways that they supported me that actually allowed me to partake in that. So,
Which is
big fan.
really good. And so when you finished school, obviously you left that really safe, nurturing environment and you were thrown out. You decided to go to university. So how did that play out for you? Did you stay in Wellington? What did you do? And how did that happen with your daughter and flatting and living and all of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a massive transition. So I applied for med school at Otago Uni, and then I applied for a Bachelor of Biomedical Science at Vic Uni.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into both, like first year health sci and biomed at Vic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was kind of thinking about it over the holidays, and I was like, oh, I think that, you hear first year health sci is very competitive anyway. And I was like, I don't know about moving to a different part of the country with a 1 year old on my own
Oh,
to
no.
start like the most competitive program. So I decided to stay in Wellington, where my family are from, and do biomedical science, an undergraduate degree at Victoria University, thinking,
Yeah.
well, you can always get into medicine postgrad if this goes really well for you. So I kind of just like stretched out my life plans a little bit and was like, this is a really great option. It's still in the content area that you're interested in. So I did end up staying, which in hindsight I'm so grateful for because I think the transition to university, it is really tough. Like it's tough for everyone. And even coming from, a place where I'd practiced having a kid and being in education for a year, it only prepares you so much. So I definitely struggled in my first year of university. Luckily I didn't fail anything, but I had varied results for my papers. And yeah, I did flat in that year a couple of different places and I found it really tough with a kid. Like, I mean, flatting in itself when you're 20 is hard. And then, yeah, so I'm navigating all the normal flatting issues people have about their communication styles or the way they like to live or whatever, but then just like throwing a kid in the mix where I could only afford to pay for one room, so we're sharing a room, and then like, I don't know, she'd do things that babies do, like occasionally get into the kitchen and pour the flour everywhere, and then you're like apologizing to your flatmates while you're cleaning up after them, and I actually have this great photo. I can send it to you after if you like, where
Yeah.
every night for my first year of uni, really, it was like I would be like holding her on my lap and like studying at my desk and like feeding her at the same time. It was like a very hectic time frame. So I'm just proud of myself that I got through, honestly.
Believe you just and shared flashing as well. Some people don't even cope with that as a not being a parent. So yeah, and then so in the flat in that first year, she was in the university crèche. Did you have funding for that? Did you have lots of support? How did that work for you?
So I don't know if it works the same now. I talked to StudyLink about getting a student allowance,
Mhm.
and StudyLink and Work and Income are kind of like two branches of the same part of the government. And so they said, because you have a child and you're in further education to try and get a job, you can go on a benefit, which means you don't lose funding over the holidays and things like that. And it wasn't super realistic for me to try and, uh, get a job for 2 weeks between uni breaks or whatever while I had a
Yeah.
baby anyway. That kind of supported my living costs was a work and income benefit while I was studying. And they did give me a supplement towards daycare. So I can't remember what it is now, but it's like above a certain age, they get 20 hours free. I think it might be three.
Yes.
But they also supplemented the daycare cost, and then I just paid the difference out of my benefit. But it was incredibly tight. Like the first year I was there, I was doing like odd cleaning jobs on the side on the weekend and stuff to try and like make up the difference as well because like it was yeah, that first year did feel like an impossible situation. Like the number of times I ended up in tears just being like, this is why nobody in my situation makes it, is it's just not possible. I can't afford to like get to uni or eat this week. There was like a lot of situations like that, and I was really lucky that like yeah, I had a friend who was like, you can clean my house and I'll pay you. And I was like, okay, that's this week, that's how we're doing it. And then I just trusted that like with time our circumstances would change. Um, I learned how to face paint. One of my other friends, amazing friends, was like, I do face painting jobs. I'll see if you can come along. So I took up face painting at like rugby games and like just little anything I could get, I just took. But it was, yeah, it was crazy. My life is so much easier now.
So how long did you live like this with Veronica in a flat?
It was for the entirety of my first year of uni was like that, and then for second year, I thought like I just need some more stability. So I asked my dad, "Can I come home?" And of course, he was like, "Yeah, sure." So it was a little bit further away, and I think that there was like maybe a point of pride where I was like, I so badly wanted to be taking responsibility and accountability for the life that I had chosen. Um, but like our dreams of what life should look like and then what you actually need to do to get through
Yeah.
are just so different. And I think that was one where I was like, yeah, no,
Need to
I
really
can't do it
yeah.
any other way.
Yeah. What advice would you give to other young mums like who want to get ahead in life? Because I know that is your story quite typical of the teen parent units or not?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a tough one. I think the teen parent unit is doing amazing things. I went back a couple years ago and the mums there just like blow me away. Every time I see them, I like tear up thinking about it. There was also a documentary series that was
Mm.
done on a teen parent unit in Hamilton and like same thing. I like it really grips me every time because it's so much. It is so much to be in that situation. And some of them are on their own, some of them have great family support, some of them have no family support. So I think the like advice I would give is just like don't judge yourself against other people. I know it's really typical advice, but like I was really lucky in some ways that like I had a great caseworker at Wins who was like, "Yep, we'll put you on a benefit," and it was one less thing I had to worry about. I had a teen parent unit I could go to, and they were like, "Yep, we'll get rid of all these roadblocks. You learn best this way. We'll put you in school." Like I had a mum and dad who were still involved in my life and loved me very much
Making
and were
me
able
feel
to
very seen.
babysit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got super lucky in many, many ways. And yeah, I think like even just being a mother is one of the most amazing and difficult journeys. So
Yeah.
like just if you can be stubborn and just keep like looking for a way that might help, but if things don't work out, don't blame yourself and don't think like that there's anything wrong with you.
Keep going, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what I really got from you is that, there's been so much adversity. Like, first of all, finding out you're pregnant when you're 18, then deciding to go back to school, like that's a big step. A lot of people find that embarrassing or, all of those things, that shame. And then you actually managed to get yourself back to school, which was obviously your mum was supportive, which was really great. Who
Yeah.
do you think's been your biggest cheerleader over Veronica's life?
Yeah, what you said is like 100% true. I think also I had all of those things. Like I had all the shame and everything as well. Um, when it comes to cheerleader, like I was thinking about this all yesterday, but I don't think I've had one. I think I've had like a whole community of cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Like I've had so many friends reach out and be like, no, I believe in you. Like you can do this. Stick at it. I had, some of the women in my life that I grew up with. One of my aunties, like who lived in Australia and I didn't see very much, like call me and be like, 100% you can do medicine if that's what you want to do. Like I really believe in you. And she really did. Like there's difference between people who just say supportive stuff and people who like are like, no, I've seen you. I know you can do this. You know, like the team parent unit were massive cheerleaders for me. The professors at uni, I was not like, if you look back at my life, you might be like, oh, that's really cool what you've done. But I felt like an absolute mess the entire way. Like it wasn't pretty. And there were times where I was like running late. And the first time I brought Veronica into one of my lectures, it was like a second year biochem lecture. Um, and my most amazing lecturer went up to him, Paul Teasdale Spittle, and I was like, I'm so sorry I'm late and I have my baby with me, but can I sit down the back and then if she's really noisy, I'll take her out. And he was so lovely. He was like, yeah, of course you can. And then he wasn't the only one. There were so many lecturers that, they just saw me trying and they were like, okay, just keep going. Just keep trying. You'll get there. So I've been very blessed with like a lot of cheerleaders along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get that, and that's what you need. It's like having that community, isn't it, of people. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and I hear that there was a village around you at different stages of your journey with Veronica, right?
Yeah, 100%. I've been very fortunate that like yeah, friends that I've been friends with. I mean, I guess it's a selection criteria in its own way where I was like, I can't do this if Veronica can't come, because I was on my own for a lot of it and she's always been, my main kind of focus for life. So, yeah.
I totally get that. So we met in the team parent unit when I came to do my Style in Schools talk with you. And
Yes.
like when I reconnected with you in March, you did say that you'd remembered quite a bit about what we did that day and had stuck with you. Do you want to just share that with us, please?
Yes, I remembered you so well. I saw you up there and I was like, I've seen you before. And yeah, I guess like in that era of my life, I was very focused on like, is there anything in my power I can do to like better my chances of being able to create and build a cool life for me and my kid? And so when you came in and you were like giving us all this information about how you present yourself and how it might help you or hinder you depending on what you do, I was like, cool, this is just like another factor in my control that I can do something about. So I remember you brought in all these props and you were making like this capsule wardrobe and you were like, look, you don't have to have heaps and heaps of stuff to, dress really nicely. You can have only these few things and make yourself look presentable and nice all the time. And actually, I was thinking about this morning as well, which is so funny. Um, I remember you saying like try to like regularly present yourself well because you just never know like who's watching. And I think you made like a joke and you're like, you might be like in front of your future husband and you don't even know. And I started dating someone really recently and they work with me. So like this has stuck with me to this day. Like every work I've had, I've always been like, okay, well, you just don't know like who you're gonna run into. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Stephanie to be such a solid, not turning up in fat pants at my work.
Look, and eventually the person will love you for whoever you are or
Yeah.
you aren't. But it's the initial moment. So you spent how many years at university, Ali, and then and what degree did you get, and what happened next?
Yeah, okay. I spent quite a few years at uni. So I did like 3.5 years for my undergrad degree.
Mhm.
That was at Vic Uni doing a Bachelor of Biomedical Science. And I put an extra half year on because I'd done like two majors. So it had like essential papers and I was either going to have to take a 60-point semester or just like do another semester. And I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like 3.5 years. And then I had a little break. And then I did another year of postgrad at Vic Uni. And I was planning on doing my master's there, but then an opportunity came up at Otago Uni in Dunedin, and I was like, why not? It was on stuff that I
Wow.
was really interested in. I was always really fascinated by CAR T cells and like immunotherapy for cancers. So I decided to just like take the plunge and move across the country. So
Huge.
yeah,
How old was Veronica at the stage? She four. So,
By this point, she would have been almost 6 because I'd had like a little break. So I'd done like 3.5 years, 1.5 when I started. Yeah. And then I'd had like a little 6 month break after doing my first year at Vic Uni as a postgrad student. So she would have been almost 6 by the time we moved to Dunedin. And then I did another year doing my master's thesis down here, which is where I've ended up.
yeah. And you told me when I met up with you, when you came down to Dunedin and you found your living circumstances really challenging. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how you managed to navigate that? Because that sounded really tough. I was unbelievably blown away about what you navigated to get to the end of that too.
Which part did I tell you about?
Telling me about, telling me about when you had to, you slept in a van for a while.
Yeah, that was pretty recent actually. So, like, originally when I moved to Dunedin, I'd moved in with a friend who I'd been really close with for my whole undergrad degree, and I still love him. He's an amazing, amazing guy and still one of my best friends. So that, like, when I first moved was all right, and I managed to get my master's okay. It was more recently in my life. So, it was funny when you were talking about navigating adversity. I was like, it's kind of been like this, like it's been
Yes.
so up and down with it because there have been periods where I've kind of felt like stable, like, okay, we've got all our basic needs and everything feels really predictable. And then I just had this like kind of really shit situation. It was actually last year where my dad's been really unwell for more than a year now. So I've been traveling to Wellington a lot to see him because he's been in and out of hospital. And my partner at the time just like up and left with no real like explanation or like I did not see it coming at all. It really blindsided me. And I think my flatmates at the time, like reasonably so, were just like a little bit felt stuck in the middle and were like, oh, this living situation hasn't really worked for us. Is there somewhere else you can find to live? Um, and I didn't really have anywhere to go immediately. Like I have friends and stuff down here, but I think I was just like really grief stricken at the time and I didn't know if my dad would be going back to hospital anytime soon, and I didn't want to not be able to afford to go see him or anything like that. And so I did end up buying a van to move into, and it wasn't like a long-term plan of like, you know, this is a great living situation. It was actually like one of the hardest things I've ever done. It like again it gives me the like feeling every time I talk about it. It was pretty tough. Um,
Only imagine, yeah.
and I had like I still have a bit of the mum guilt of like what kind of situation, are you choosing to put your kid in? But I think just at the time I really needed out of the living situation I was in, and I wasn't ready to sign on to a permanent lease because I didn't know if I would stay in Dunedin or if I'd need to move home if my dad was getting worse. And yeah, I didn't want to be stuck. Like if I was renting, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to like actually afford to fly back and keep paying rent. So there were kind of like all these confounding factors. And it sounds like a super chaotic thing to do, and it wasn't an easy decision at the time. But in hindsight, I'm really grateful that I did it because it gave me a safe out. And one of my friends, who I owe so much to, was like, I don't want you on the street, like, come park in our garage. So I ended up, like, actually in a safe living situation. And it wasn't meant to be long term, but it gave me enough time to, like, I don't know, process all the grief I was feeling about the failed relationship and my dad's failing health and give me time to decide if it was worth staying in Dunedin for my career and the community that we had built and for Veronica's lifestyle that she's built down here, or if it was time that I pack up and go home and try and rebuild something in Wellington. Um, and I think, like, I'm really lucky where we live and where I work. We have a lot of perks. Veronica's school is like a 15-minute walk down the road from where I work, so she can walk here every day. And the community that we've built here is really loving and supportive. And she's been here for, 5 years now, so she's built a lot in school and friends and um yeah. So it wasn't easy sharing a van with my
But you know what
10-year
you've
old.
done, what you managed to do while you were doing that is unbelievable as well. Like out of that, what have you just bought?
Yeah, so I didn't expect this, but I also was able to save a little bit. And yeah, with I was just like scrolling Trade Me for like the cheapest houses in the area. It had always been on my radar that I wanted to buy a house. But I think I'd really given up hope on it. And like I said, that the era was pretty dark. I was not in a good mental space, but I was just looking just in case. I think I was just looking for ways to be hopeful to try and figure out like, okay, if I could buy a house for like,
Yeah.
not even market value, like something that's really run down, kind of do it up or something. And I found one that it was like an old state house, so it's a semi-detached, and people don't like that, and it had just been on the market for ages. And my mum was like, just go look at it, and I really had no hope. But when I went and saw it, I was like, this is perfect. It has this beautiful big garden and like these gorgeous wooden floors, and it just feels like a little fairy cottage. Like it's actually so stunning. And so I put an offer in and I got it somehow.
So good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, would 18-year-old Eleanor have thought that 30-year-old Eleanor had her own home, had an amazing job, was living with her daughter, had got 2 degrees. Is it 2 degrees or three? Like a undergraduate and a
It's two.
master's.
Yeah.
2 degrees. Like literally, this is like, and I mean, a lot of people don't do this without having had the confounding factor of giving birth to a child before you're 20, right? So, like that's why I wanted to share your story because it's really an example of being able to stay in. What do you think it is that, aside from the support, what is it inside you that you managed to hold on to that's got you through these really difficult and tough times?
Yeah. I think like it doesn't feel like amazing like it sounds as a story. It feels like a lot of sleepless nights. It feels like a lot of like just like stubbornly looking forward and being like, I'm just aiming there. Like I don't, it doesn't even feel like believing in yourself. It's like I just am gonna keep trying. It's like the feeling of going through it is not beautiful. It's a lot of grinding and being like, I'm just gonna stick at it. Like I'm just gonna do what I can. And I think in some ways it's an amazing gift you have when you have a child because I don't think that there's anything else I've experienced that has motivated me or that I've cared about enough that I would have done it. Like I think that Veronica has really been the most inspirational thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, I would say it's not the feeling of it isn't easy or it doesn't feel like success. It doesn't feel beautiful or amazing. It just feels like being like stubbornly determined to just like keep pushing yourself and just do as much as you possibly can. And like not trying to make your life like everyone else's or trying to do what you think people your age should be doing, but like what you know is right for you. Like I think I knew Veronica was right for me. Like even though I knew it was going to be tough, I really always wanted to be a mum and I really craved the connection that I would have with a child and like the respectful relationship I could create with someone and all the learning you could get by having a baby in your life. So, I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, like I really want to put my everything into it. And so accountability can be really painful at times. Like
100%.
it's not just an easy, like, I just clicked my fingers and got there.
Oh no, you have not. You've had a very difficult and challenging 10 years, but you've
Mm.
come out of it with some difficult challenges. So, buying a house by the time you're 30, there's many people, I'm sure that are your age that are not in this situation either. So it's just having that real stubbornness. Just a couple of questions just to wrap up. Tell us about your relationship with Veronica and how you show up to be the best possible mum that you can with all that you're juggling.
This is so cool because I think, like, in many ways, the Team Parent Unit, like, set me up for that. They had a few things that they really cared about, and, like, they ran your course, they ran other courses for us that were about, like, parenting and stuff. And so they'd shown us these studies that said, like, if you have dinner with your child every day, like, just share one meal with them every day, like the chances that they'll be depressed decrease by this much or something. Like there was just these small little things that really stuck with me the whole time. So I would say we're very close. I adore her. She's very funny. She's 11, almost 12 now. So she's in that like real sassy girl era, which is actually so entertaining. I was quite scared of it before I got here, but it's quite fun. We have a lot of good, really like sarcastic or sassy jokes together. Yeah, and I think she's always just been like the centerpiece of my life. Everything I've done, I've had to be able to do with her. So, yeah, I would say we have a really good relationship. We have a lot of fun together. All the travel I've done, she's come along for, and sh like everything I've learned about myself, or a lot of what I've learned about myself, has been from her, and vice versa. So we have a lot of open communication. Um, I say sorry to her as much as she says sorry to me, maybe a bit more.
But
Um,
that's a good parent skill.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. Like I've never known what I was doing, but yeah, I think you give them as much as you can and forgive yourself for what you can't, and like somehow we have a good relationship.
No, I think that it's really interesting that you say that those early years in that teen parent unit really helps set you up with good parenting. That's just such a key skill to take forward, and also being really honest with each other. So, just tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now as a job, so that
Sure.
our listeners know, because that's really impressive.
Thank you. Okay, so I currently work as a medical lab scientist at a company called Pacific Edge. Our company was founded out of Otago Uni, and they developed a bladder cancer test to help diagnose bladder cancer in a non-invasive way. So if someone presents with hematuria or microhematuria, they can get this non-invasive urine-based test. I'm the medical lab scientist who runs those tests in New Zealand alongside a couple of my colleagues. We also have a big lab in the US that does a lot of the testing over there, and we're expanding into like the Asia Pacific market as well. So basically, it means we're looking at these biomarkers in the cells that have sloughed off into the urine, and they can indicate to us whether or not there are cancerous cells there. And then people, after they have that, can go get a normal workup and diagnosis of a bladder cancer. But I think it's 1 out of every 20 people who will present with these symptoms of bladder cancer, like hematuria, don't actually have cancer. And so it's quite a painful procedure to get a cystoscopy. It's quite uncomfortable. So what our test does is it really takes people off the waiting list. We say like you can say like you don't really need one of those. There's really no indication that you have cancerous cells
Wow.
hanging about. So yeah,
Very good, like very good to get a job like that in this market too, which is really tough to pick up a good job. So
oh
what's
yeah.
what's in the future plans for Ali and Veronica? And you've got a house, you've got a job, you've got done your degree, your daughter's settled. What's happening now?
So I hate to give a real disappointing answer, but I guess like I'm actually really rivaling with that. Like I have always had a lot of ambition and I've always had a lot of like visions for the things that I want out of life, and I'm really happy. Like I have everything that I need. I have a
Yeah.
stable home. I have a career that is fulfilling, and I have amazing people around me. Like I really have some of the best friends that anyone could wish for. Um, and I live in a beautiful part of the country, and now I have a van and a house, so I can do a little bit of travel for fun instead of needing a place to stay. So I guess I don't know what the next big thing will be that I set my eye on, and I guess I don't need to force it either. Like I'm like
No.
something will pop up, and I'll be like really enthusiastic about it, and when that happens, I look forward to it. But for now, I'm really just chilling. I got like a lot of, I love my garden. I really want chickens.
And nice. It's just you just want to live without having the pressure of difficulty. So, oh look, well, thank you so much for sharing your really inspiring story. And I
Thank you
look
for
forward
having
to
me.
hearing how that unfolds for you going forward. And I just know you're heading into another 5 years now. You've got a teenager looming on your horizon.
Yeah.
Interesting. You're close-ish in age to your teenagers, so you have some relatability. And,
Yes.
I'm sure she's really lucky to have you as a mum. So thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate your honesty. Thank you very much, everybody else, for listening. Thank you very much for tuning in and for listening to my podcast. And if you've got any feedback or any questions for either Alinor or myself, please feel free to reach out. And again, we'll be back again next week. Thank you for listening to the Style for Life podcast. Don't forget, you deserve to feel fabulous at every age, every stage, and at every size. If you're loving the show, hit subscribe and leave a review. It helps more amazing people like you find their way back to life through style. Thanks again. Until next time.